Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday evening. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening. And the main topic that I want to discuss today is Tyson Fury versus Wladamir Klitschko. I'm going to spend the bulk of this topic today discussing this fight, particularly in light of a photo that emerged of Tyson Fury today that I am going to discuss during the course of this. We've already got some people in the chat. We've got Jack, we've got Ross. Thanks very much for joining, guys. Going to take comments throughout, any questions answered. Jack, apologies for being late. I do have a good excuse. I just had to nip down to the shop because I was a bit concerned that I'd run out of liquor for the evening. So we're topped up now and we're good to go. Before I get into it, just going to do a few plugs. Bear with me for 30 seconds on that. I want to discuss Andre Ward briefly, and then I want to get into the main topic at hand, which is Tyson Fury. If you're in the chat, if you're watching, please comment, please stay along with me. Makes it more entertaining for me, certainly. Few plugs first. Did one of these live chats yesterday discussing a few post-fights. Adrian Broner versus Sean Porter. Sanan Damanjikan versus David Lemieux. Andre Ward versus Paul Smith. And we also did a bit of Anthony Joshua versus Marius Watt. So if those topics are of interest, please check it out. Ran for about 50 minutes yesterday. That's plug one. Plug two. Did a video on a YouTube channel where I was a contributor, I sort of joined another channel. The channel is called Ultra Tech Sports. If you've heard what we did in that channel, let us know. Let us know your feedback. It's something that we're intending to do more of. So that's the plugs out of the way. I'm actually going on holiday on Friday, going to the south of France for a week. However, to be honest, it's going to be a week spent lying by a swimming pool, so not totally out of the question that I could make a few boxing gossip from the south of France appearances, and you can all be jealous of the view whilst looking at me on a sun lounger. I might put a shirt on, don't worry. Anyway, let's get into it. Main topic is going to be Tyson Fury. But before we get there, two things. First, I want to talk briefly about Andre Ward, some news that's come out today, and secondly, I want to invite any questions answered. Happy. A lot of people send me requests via email. Sometimes, if I'm honest, I get quite a few and I don't have the energy to go and make separate videos. So any sort of questions, any sort of topics you want to hear discussed, mention it in this one and I'll try and take it as and when. But Andre Ward, he's done something today which showed his true class. And to be honest, it surprised me. So my understanding is because Paul Smith missed weight, he was fined $22,500 by the Athletic Commission, this is dollars, and $37,500 which went to Andre Ward. Now, Andre Ward returned Paul Smith's $37,500 to him, said, "That's for you, you take it." Now, what makes that even more gentlemanly is I understand that Andre Ward will have a tax liability, despite the fact he effectively gave that away through charity. So he's taken a $37,500 hit, and he's probably gonna have to pay what, 30–40% extra on that for tax. So what was initially a gesture that would have benefited Andre Ward is now going to hugely negatively affect him. And that shows the class of this guy. He's not someone who's earned Floyd Mayweather bucks, but he sorted Paul Smith out well and proper there. And let me tell you, Andre Ward agreed a fee for that fight based on Paul Smith coming at 172. If I agreed a fee to fight someone at 172 and they came in at 176.5, I wouldn't return the money to them. I think that I would deserve additional compensation for going through that. And I know Paul Smith didn't bother Andre Ward, but when Paul Smith did throw a punch at Andre Ward, that punch was coming slightly heavier than it should have been. And I would want that extra money as compensation, personally. But Andre Ward, clearly he's a classier guy than me. He's returned the money to Paul Smith. Another interesting thing that came out today is a statement from Virgil Hunter, who said that Ward is intending to stay at 168, could certainly still make 168. He said that even though Ward won gold as a light heavyweight, he was having to sort of put on extra weight to make it to light heavyweight. And he fought at that division because he was very good friends with Andre Durrell, and they decided to try and fight in separate divisions. He even said that when Ward turned pro, he had a spell at middleweight before moving up to super middleweight. So looks like Andre Ward's back. I'm getting the impression that catchweights are maybe not here to stay with him, and he's looking to go down to 168. I think eventually a time will come when he moves up to 175, and then I'll have the likes of Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson, those kind of guys to deal with. But yeah, just wanted to touch on Andre Ward. I think that information about giving the money back to Paul Smith needs to be said, needs to be applauded. And yeah, certainly something that I wouldn't have done. So credit to Andre Ward. Let's get into it. Tyson Fury versus Wladamir Klitschko. Let me just see who's in the chat. So, Ross Fleming says these live chats are ace. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Ross. Very charitable of you. Jack says he agrees. Very charitable, Jack. Gunnar Sezon says, I want Fury to win because see Vlad being too much for him over 12 rounds. Jack said Fury's real good shape already. Haha. We're going to come to that in just one moment. And Jack says, thoughts on Frankie Gavin moving to Maximum Kraken. By the way, I think this could be a good move. To be honest, Frankie Gavin needs to change something. Like, for me, the obvious thing for him to change is the weight. Because let's be honest, it doesn't matter who is training Frankie Gavin. The water is very deep at 147 pounds. And this guy doesn't have enough defense, and he doesn't have enough power to be a threat given some of the caliber of guys out there. You know, you look at that Errol Spence who fought on the weekend. You know, he's a guy on the way up, young guy. He hasn't fought anyone, but you know he's just going to handle Frankie Gavin with consummate ease. You know, guys, I still pick the likes of Leonard Bundu, Devin Alexander over Frankie Gavin. He's so far off the top of the sport, he needs to change something. Obvious thing is his mentality, the amateur defensive mentality. For me, he'd be better off at 140. I'd go around in circles with it, to be honest. Like, if he's changing his trainer, that's good news. Jack says he's also moving down to light welterweight, and that's good. But you know what? I went to the Fury Chisora weigh-in back in the day, the second weigh-in, and Frankie Gavin was fighting Bradley Skeet. And I was standing next to Bradley Skeet when he got weighed in, right? And, you know, I was probably, let's say, within 2 foot of Bradley Skeet, and he was in his boxers, and the shape that Bradley Skeet was in was incredible. You know, you could see, you know, sometimes you can look at an athlete and you can just see how primed and ready they are. And you look at Frankie Gavin, and you know, Frankie's a nice guy. He posted a photo with me that day. I don't want to slag him, but he just wasn't as ready, as conditioned as Bradley Skeet. And, you know, Bradley was so much taller than him. I just remember thinking visually, he's got to get down to 140. You know, he's got to. I mean, if you're going to be a small, short guy for the division, you've got to be a kind of guy who can get inside and throw hooks and, you know, try and Mike Tyson it. But this guy, you know, he's got none of that to his game at all. And for me, he's going to struggle against, you know, a more advanced fighter than Bradley Skeet. Will just beat him with the jab because he's too small. Anyway, because Frankie Gavin covered off. So I'm going to get into Fury Klitschko. I'm going to talk about this photo probably at great length. But before I do that, I'm going to set the scene. I would say I'm Tyson Fury's biggest fan. I rave about the guy to everyone who will listen, and sometimes to everyone who won't. I think this guy, skill-wise, is the top heavyweight on the planet. I'm completely behind him. I'm completely sold on him. I'm a fan of him inside the ring. I really appreciate his style. I really appreciate his versatility. I also, and maybe it makes me sound bad, but I'm going to admit it, I'm a massive fan outside of the ring. I love Tyson Fury press conferences. I love Tyson Fury interviews. And I've been a huge fan of him. I've been aware of him well before the first Chisora fight, you know, well before then. I've followed him from the very, very early days. And there's nothing I want to see more than Tyson Fury succeed. But I am going to slate him a bit in this video. Now, before I've done that, I wanted to set the scene so you know where I'm coming from. But I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan. And we'll get to this later, but I do think he's got the beating of Klitschko in a close fight. Now, I was going about my business today, doing the 9 to 5, but I received a text from one of my friends who is into boxing, but in a sort of casual sense. And he sent me a photo of Tyson Fury in Cannes that Tyson Fury had posted on Twitter today. And it was horrific. If you haven't already seen it, go on Tyson Fury's Twitter. It was posted today, 22nd of June. Scroll down, you can't miss it. And it's Tyson Fury topless. Now, I heard an interview he did with Bayloric TV. Shout out to Bayloric, big fan. And he said to Ingram Jones, I'm back in the gym. I came back, weighed 23 stone, and I was good to go. Sparred 15 rounds. I'm a natural fighter. I don't need to be in shape. And he was obviously giving it a bit of bravado. He was obviously putting his balls on the chop, to be honest. And I kind of took it with a pinch of salt. But if you look at this photo of Tyson Fury, it was put up today, 22nd of June, he looks every pound of the 23 stone. Every pound of it. Let's put it this way. If you recall when Tyson Fury fought Joey Abel, he weighed in at 20 stone plus. I think it was like 20 and a half stone for that fight. In this photo, he looks considerably bigger than that. Considerably. It is very conceivable in this photo. He is 2 to 3 stone heavier than when he fought Joey Abel. That's just my eye test. Your eye test might disagree. But there's the belly, there's very sizable man breasts. I'm not talking pectorals here, I'm talking moves. He is not in a good physical condition. In fact, he was in a horrific physical state. Horrific. Now, I've already said that I'm the guy's biggest fan. And I kind of buy into this persona of, oh, Tyson Fury goes out, he drinks 12 pints, he gets to the ring the next day and he's just too good. But this is something else. And my friend was texting me saying he just isn't taking this seriously. He isn't taking this seriously. And as a Tyson Fury fan, I found myself trying to justify it. I was trying to say, look, he's got a 14-week camp ahead of Klitschko. He has got plenty of time to get in shape. He's done this before and he's always all right. I even started suggesting maybe it's good for him to come in heavy against Wladamir. Wladamir's a very big guy. I said Wladamir loves to clinch. Sometimes Wladamir Klitschko fights are like wrestling matches. It's going to be good for Tyson to have a bit of extra bulk. Might help him out. He doesn't want to be small against a guy like Wladamir Klitschko. And I found myself trying to justify this to support Tyson Fury. But the truth is, it's not good enough. And as my friend said, Tyson Fury fights at 18 stone, right? 18 and a half stone. If he truly is 23 stone, he's going to have to lose 5 stone over the course of his training camp. And that is too much. That is a fat camp rather than a training camp. And I appreciate that a guy like Tyson Fury will naturally lose the weight as he goes through his training camp. He may not have to go about dieting and going about trying to cut weight. A guy of that size and a guy that young, remember he's only 25, 26, will naturally shed the weight as he goes through training camp. And I did say that, and I did make that point. But the truth is, as you get older, if you want to be the best you can be, if Tyson Fury wants to be the best Tyson Fury possible, he's got to live the life outside the ring. And to have got this grossly overweight during the period between his last fight and now is concerning. It is concerning. Let me say, we saw an example of this in Adrian Broner versus Sean Porter. A guy like Sean Porter lives the life. He's got a six-pack every day of the year. He's got a six-pack on Boxing Day. You know, it's not all about having a six-pack, but take my point, this guy lives the life. A guy like Adrian Broner does not. He's out drinking, he's out partying. And I think we saw, in my opinion, the most talented fighter in the ring, Adrian Broner, lose. I think partly that was to do with being ready, living the athlete's life, and being a fighter 365 days a year. Similar to that, Wladamir Klitschko is the consummate professional. He's 17, 18 stone, but he's got a six-pack every day of the year. He's ready to go. He's always in shape. He's always fit. You know, he's not out drinking, out partying, out eating McDonald's. He's just not. And this is the biggest test of Fury's life. The biggest test. If it goes 12 rounds, he's going to have to go to places he's never gone before. He's going to have to take punches he's never taken before. And for me, blowing up to such a gross extreme is not good enough. He may get away with it. He may beat Wladamir Klitschko. He may knock Wladamir Klitschko out. But in the long run, as he gets older, and as his opposition goes up in levels, it's not going to be acceptable to blow up to this level. It really isn't. You know, it becomes harder and harder and harder to get in physically good shape. And all of this stuff about, you know, he's a fighting man, he's a warrior, it doesn't matter what kind of condition he's in. I mean, the truth is that I'm his biggest fan, but the best opposition he's been in with is Derek Chisora and Steve Cunningham. I'm just being honest. If he fights Vlad, and if he beats Vlad, then he's going to be fighting, obviously, Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, Povetkin, maybe Anthony Joshua. There aren't going to be the easy fights out there anymore. And he's going to need so much better discipline than ballooning up to this weight. Just going to look and check the comments, see what's come through. Ross Fleming says Frankie needs to change his style, similar to what Algieri did. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Frankie and Algieri had several of the same problems, you know. They weren't offensive fighters, they weren't big punchers. The difference is that Chris Algieri has the frame and has the size to be successful. I'm not so sure that Frankie Gavin does. Jack says, in case you didn't realise I'm being sarcastic about him being in shape, I saw the photo this morning. Don't worry about it on Palo. I knew you were being sarcastic there. Ross says, the noise of the laptop sounds like it's about to take off. Yeah, bit of an issue with that one. What it is I film my normal videos on my iPad, which is like a really clean sound typically. On the old laptop, I'll give it. The fan goes absolutely berserk. So yeah, it's a bit of an issue, I'm afraid. But effectively, I can't do the live shows via the iPad. It's got to be done via the laptop at the minute. So I am saving up for a new one. So hopefully it won't be an ongoing issue. Ross has said, Sky has reported Groves suffered a head injury in camp. That's the first I've heard of it. Does that mean the new Jack fights off? I don't know. Jack said he suffered it in a boating accident. Ross, he should be all right, though, he said. Okay, so this is with regards to George Groves' head injury. I'll have to look that up. Tivatap says, I think Skeet won that one against Gavin. Yeah, close fight, but I'm inclined to agree. He also says, I remember Peter Fury saying he's going to make this camp the hardest one of Tyson Fury's career. Not a good start. Yeah, well, the difficulty is as far as I'm concerned, Fury is about 6-8 weeks off even being in good enough shape to go into camp. You know, I know they've got plenty of time here, but it's just not good. It's not good, and you wonder if it becomes an absolute war round 10, round 11, round 12. Well, the fact that Wladamir Klitschko is walking around with a six-pack in June, whereas Tyson Fury is walking around with 6 bellies, I mean, will that make a difference? You know, could that be the difference maker at that point? And I think it could be. I think over the years, going up and down in weight and drinking too many of these and eating too many burgers, yeah, over the course of a career, that can be sort of a negative. And I'm really seeing that with Tyson Fury at the minute. Better by far says looking like Joseph Parker will now be taking on Australian Bowie Tipu. Better fight than Fujimoto. Yeah, I saw Fujimoto pull out. I need to look into Bowie Tipu. I've seen him once or twice before. In this instance, he won't give Parker any problems, but let me know if you disagree. So yeah, with this Tyson Fury thing, I'm slightly distressed. And as I say, I had been telling everyone that I think Fury will win the fight. I had really been backing Tyson Fury to get the job done. I found myself justifying it when this photo came up on my phone, you know. And the truth is, there is some reason. I mean, Tyson Fury doesn't want to come into this fight being dramatically outweighed. He doesn't want to come into this fight, you know, being out-wrestled by Vlad. But there's a difference between strength and conditioning and, you know, piling on 4 or 5 stone of pure fat. And in my mind, that's what this is, 4 or 5 stone of pure fat. And that is not a good thing. You know, that's really not a good thing. Putting this to a side for 1 minute, you know, Tyson Fury is a tricky character. He likes to be controversial. Who knows whether this, I mean, there is a possibility, we have to acknowledge this, a remote possibility that this could be an old photo. He was clearly loving the fact that he looked so bad in the photo. You know, he posted it fully expecting the reaction to come. He posted that photo knowing he looked terrible. He followed it up with a few wisecracks about it's not a bodybuilding contest. Yeah. Is this similar to Mayweather saying he's going to fight Kareem Mayfield? Is he purposely doing something to look terrible, to have a bit of a joke, effectively, to make him and his mates laugh? Could Tyson Fury be walking around now, lean as hell, and that photo be a year old? These are all possibilities. These are all things we have to factor in. So I'm not saying it's a definitive photo. Nevertheless, you know, it was a concern for me. Ruben Carrick has joined. Evening, Ruben. He says, how long have you been live? We've been going for about 20 minutes. Yeah, please feel free to join in now live. I think it will post as a video afterwards, so you can always go back and watch the first 20 minutes. We've been discussing Tyson Fury and the photo he released today. I'm going to move on now to discuss Fury versus Klitschko. And I'm going to almost put the photo to one side, you know. I'm going to sort of pretend that that hasn't happened. And I'm going to talk about that fight based on a peak Tyson Fury turning up. If you're watching this, please do comment in the chat. How does the fight go? I want a winner and I want a method of victory. I personally am inclined to pick a result that nobody else seems to pick. And I'm personally inclined at this stage, it's not an official prediction, but this is what I'd lean to at this stage, to pick what I imagine is deemed the least likely result in this fight, which in my eyes is Tyson Fury to win the fight on points. That's my prediction here, and I'll tell you why. Tyson Fury is a very complete fighter. If I had to pick the one thing that's missing from his game, it's elite level power. He can hit a bit, you know, he's got 18 knockouts. If he hits you, he can hurt you. Like, he didn't spark out Christian Hamer and Derek Chisora, but he hit them hard enough and often enough to make them want to quit, punish them. But he's not an elite level puncher. Now, people say Wladamir Klitschko has got a bad chin. That's a myth. I'm telling you now, that is a myth. Wladamir Klitschko does not have a bad chin whatsoever. I'm not going to say he's got an elite level chin. I'm not even going to say he's got a great chin. He does not have a bad chin. Wladamir Klitschko has reigned as the heavyweight champion for a decade undefeated. He's faced all comers. He has gone 12 rounds with Alexander Povetkin. He has gone 12 rounds with David Haye. I remember David Haye landing the famous haymaker during the course of that fight. Wladamir Klitschko didn't go down. My point is, whilst Wladamir Klitschko doesn't have the world's best chin, he doesn't have a jaw like David Tua, or maybe even like Bermain Stavern. He can be stopped, he can be knocked out, he can be hurt. But it is not as simple as a fighter hits Wladamir Klitschko and it's game over. And anyone who thinks that needs to review the tapes. You know, you can hit Wladamir Klitschko full power on the jaw and he can still be standing on his feet. And your name could be David Haye. You could punch that hard and still knock him out. Now, I don't see Tyson Fury. I see Tyson Fury landing on Klitschko. I see Tyson Fury having success against Klitschko. But I'm not convinced I see the knockout from Fury. You know, Fury is a very complete fighter. I'll touch on that briefly now. He's got superb inside game for a big man. His inside game beats Wladamir Klitschko's inside game every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. He's also got a good outside game, an excellent jab from range. He throws a brilliant double jab. Now, Wladamir Klitschko's probably got a better jab, but what I would say is that Tyson Fury's jab is longer. He's got better range, he's got better reach. So I think there's an argument that Tyson Fury could win this fight on the outside and the inside. I don't think there's any argument he wins this fight on the outside, on the inside, sorry. And the outside is more up in the air. Tyson Fury is an elite level body puncher. Wladamir Klitschko not only has no inside game, he has no ability to punch through the body. Tyson Fury has superb punch variety, superb hooks, uppercuts. He throws wonderful combinations. And one of the things I love about Tyson Fury's combinations is he has the ability to change levels during a combination. He might go 1, 2, and then drop to the body. You don't see Wladamir Klitschko fighting like that. Tyson Fury is excellent on his back foot. He's also excellent on his front foot. He's excellent orthodox, but he looks almost equally as positive southpaw. And there is a strong suggestion that Wladamir Klitschko fails to deal with southpaws as effectively as he does with orthodox fighters. You know, if you speak to Dwyer, he'll tell you about Tony Thompson and the first fight and how Wladamir struggled with that. Finally, Tyson Fury is also a superb mover and not the worst defensive fighter. You know, people forget how light on his feet and how mobile this guy is for his size. And people will laugh when I say he's a good defensive fighter. They'll say, oh, what about Steve Cunningham dropping him? Forget about that. Tyson Fury was a child when that happened. He's still only something like 25 or 26 years old. Ask yourself, in his last 2 fights, Christian Hamer and Derek Chisora, have you seen him take one meaningful punch? The new Fury is so disciplined, is so schooled, and is so tactically perfected. He's put in elite defensive performances. My point is, he has so many different capabilities that Wladamir doesn't have. Wladamir is a superb fighter. He has a better jab than Fury, although I question whether it be a shorter jab. He has more power than Fury. But isn't Wladamir Klitschko relatively predictable? You know he is not going to punch to your body. You know he's not going to batter you on the inside. And you know that he has 3 punches. 1, 2, 3. Lead left hook, jab, straight backhand right. And it's going to be one of those 3 things. I remember he threw an uppercut in the Bryant Jennings fight. And the commentary team were aghast, like, what's happened? Wladamir's thrown an uppercut. Isn't it much easier to fight a guy than you, who's a smaller guy than Tyson Fury, when you know he only has 3 things in his arsenal? You don't even have to defend your body. You don't even have to worry about the inside half of the fight. You only need to worry about those 3 weapons that all come from long range. That all come from long range. And you are much longer than Wladamir. And you can move. And you're in a southpaw stance that makes it really awkward for him. So you're standing there, you're southpaw, and you're able to throw your jab, and you know that his jab won't reach you. And you know that all it's going to be from Wladamir is those 3 punches. And you're out of range, you're causing him problems. All Fury needs to do is get on his bike, get on his back foot, and use the jab, because he's got the better reach, or then get inside. And Wladamir can't throw inside. And we know how Wladamir clinches and Wladamir wrestles. But Alexander Povetkin is 6'2", 6'3". Bryant Jennings is 6'3", 6'4". Klitschko outweighs both of these guys and can get over them and lean on them and push them down. I've met Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is, I've said this before on my channel, I'm 6'4", I'm a big 6'4". This guy is a monster. He is massive. Some people say he's 6'9". My personal belief is he's taller than that. I think he dwarfs Wladamir Klitschko. I think when they do a head-to-head, he is much noticeably the taller man. I think he's also a heavier man, heavier set. And I think that Wladamir Klitschko is not going to be able to wrestle and manhandle a guy like Tyson Fury, like he's been able to do in the past. Fury's inside game is so advanced. His movement is so advanced. His switch hitting is so advanced. He has everything to his game to outpoint Klitschko. I don't think he's got the power to knock Klitschko out. Klitschko is a very good defensive fighter. You know, people make a mockery of that, but Klitschko is a very, very solid defensive fighter. And Fury, he isn't an elite level power puncher. And as I've already covered, I do not believe that Klitschko has a bad chin. So I'm taking the unpopular route at this stage of the fight. And I'm going Fury points. Now there is a massive disclaimer here, which is that in terms of Fury winning this fight on points, he's obviously going to have to go 12 rounds. And that is why seeing him in that photo today makes my heart skip a beat as his biggest fan. Because going 12 rounds against a world-class, proven athlete like Wladamir Klitschko is not easy when you've been in that state relatively recently. Let's have a look at the comments. Ruben says, damn, this is my perfect topic and I've missed loads of it. Don't worry, the first, I think before you joined, Ruben, we were talking about Andre Ward, and we were talking about the photo of Tyson Fury and a potential lack of discipline. So do check that out. Do check out the first 20 minutes. This will go up as a video straight after, so you can scroll back and watch it. But you haven't missed any of the Fury versus Klitschko fight discussing. Ruben then goes on to say, I'm picking Fury by late stoppage. I'm not saying Wladimir has a bad chin. Pulev wobbled him with a jab. I can't deny that Pulev did wobble him with a jab. I cannot deny that. I remember watching it. But whilst Pulev did wobble him with a jab, it was nowhere near dropping him. And I'm inclined to think that was Wladimir. I think it was round 1 of the fight. Got fully warmed up, taken a bit by surprise. I mean, what I'd say is David Haye landed a right hand crack across his chin, and the guy was stood up. You know, he can be knocked out. He doesn't have an elite level chin, but you know, Paulie Malignaggi ain't knocking him out. Let's put it that way. And I'm not saying Tyson Fury's Paulie Malignaggi. I'm not saying that at all. But it still takes something to knock out a 2015 Wladamir Klitschko. Richie Arrow, Peter Fury could well have all the belts inside the camp if Chambers fights Wilder with that. Yeah, and I discussed this the other day on my video with Ultra Tech Sports. I've said that I'm picking Chambers to beat Deontay Wilder. And I strongly believe that, strongly. Deontay Wilder looked appalling to me last time out, appalling. Chambers is a slick, skilled, knowledgeable technician, with real pedigree. And I think he can find the gaps in Wilder's game. And I think that's a fight that will likely be made. I noticed that Al Heyman's signed quite a few heavyweights recently. Spilka, Areola, Wilder, Romain Stavern, probably a few others I've missed out there. Chambers, so potentially some fights like that to be made. Better by Far says, should go with the tried and true Wladimir on points, but money on Vlad to get tagged early and goes down several times. Corey Sanders type outcome. Sam the Warriors fan, hello Sam, says, I'm telling you, Tyson Fury will get on the inside, raining hooks and uppercuts, break Klitschko down and make him quit like Costa Zoo did against Hatton. Bit confused. Did Costa Zoo make Hatton quit? Do you mean Hatton? Sorry, I think I'm reading it out wrong. Yeah, Wladimir does not like getting hit to the body. I think he panics, and this is why he's advanced the clinching game. Is because he tries to shut down on the inside because he knows he can't compete on the inside. So yeah, I think there could be that. I think there really could be an element of that. Nick says, Tyson is surprisingly light on his feet for such a big man. Hello, Nick. Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. This guy is such a good mover, such a good mover. And the way I'd say it is there are better movers than him in the heavyweight division. Somebody like Bryant Jennings is by far a better mover than Tyson Fury. Having said that, given the size of Tyson Fury, he really is an elite level mover. And let me say, there aren't too many better movers than him. So back foot, front foot, southpaw, orthodox movement, inside, outside. I love it. I love it. Sam says, Povetkin let it be known that Klitschko has no heart. I don't agree with that. Klitschko's been KO'd several times, but he's come back stronger. He's been dominant. He's fought the toughest fights out there. I think Klitschko's got the heart of a champion. The truth is that Klitschko knows he's a logical, clever fighter, and he knows he's got no inside game. He's only confident from range behind the jab. So he fights almost like fighting for Wladimir Klitschko is almost like mathematics. Tyson Fury is a fighting man in the sense that he'll have it out with you outside a pub. Wladimir Klitschko, it's not the same. For him, it's a scientific, formulaic type thing, in my opinion. I've never met Wladimir Klitschko. I don't know him from Adam. I'm just talking out of my arse here, but that's my opinion. He knows he's elite with a 1-2. He knows he's elite from range. So he's not going to get in the inside. He's not going to try and mix it to the body. He just plays to his strengths. Omegon says, I think Klitschko will dictate the fight early and force Fury into errors. Could you explain what errors that you see? I'm not being facetious, I'm just interested. Like, for me, the only errors that I'm seeing in Tyson Fury's game are errors he made a long time ago when he was less disciplined. What errors do you see Fury being forced into now? Interested to discuss that, because I disagree with you there. Ruben says, a lot of people say Fury has a lot more levels to his game than he's shown. Do you think he could punch harder than he's shown? No. I agree that Fury has a lot more levels. If you look at his Christian Hamer fight, which I rewatched only a couple of days back, you see Peter Fury saying to him in the corner, this guy's a journeyman, Tyson. Take your time. Enjoy yourself out there. Try a few things, and we'll turn up the gear late in the fight. You can see Tyson Fury slow-paced, bit lackadaisical, not really going in for the kill. But the guy, you know, and I like to believe he can step it up. I like to believe there's more tools in his toolbox. Yeah, I do. I think better competition will bring out the best in him. But I'm not going to say to you that I think he's got big punching power for a heavyweight, because I don't. I think guys like Deontay Wilder, David Haye, David Price, Wladamir Klitschko, you know, these are a lot harder punchers than Tyson Fury. I don't see Tyson Fury as being that kind of puncher. That's just my opinion now. And, you know, I could be wrong. And Megan says, besides Vitaly Klitschko, who would you say is an elite level chin at heavyweight? Very good question. I presume you mean the current crop of heavyweights rather than historical. Historical, I'd be talking the likes of, you know, David Tua, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Shannon Briggs. If we're looking at the current crop of heavyweights, the obvious one that springs to mind is Deontay Wilder. You know, the fight against Deontay Wilder the other day proved that conclusively. I would personally say, and this is one that's very controversial, that Alexander Povetkin has a very good chin. You know, people say, oh, he got dropped multiple times by Klitschko, but in my eyes, anyone can be dropped. Having a good chin is when someone doesn't get knocked out, you know, and Povetkin showed that he could get up and he could fight on. For me, that's an indication of a good chin. So I think Povetkin, Mariusz Wok, who could be Anthony Joshua's next victim, supposedly, he's got a very good chin. He went the distance with, you know, with Wladimir and did a good job. You have to say Bryant Jennings. Yeah, look at the way he did against Wladimir. Maybe Andrei Rudenko. You know, I know he hasn't fought at the same level, but went the distance with Lucas Brown in a brutal fight. You know, these guys have all got good chins. So there is a few. Yeah, Derek Shaw of old, although I think David Haye knocked that out of him. To the tap, has Tyson got enough experience with a heavyweight of his height, though? I think he'll need some good sparring partners to help him prepare. Yeah, I mean, this is something I've talked about before. And I said it was unfortunate he hadn't had the Usmanov fight. Now, again, I'm giving a lot of credit to Bay Lorick in this video. But credit to Bay Lorick, he posed this exact question to Tyson Fury and to Peter Fury in his recent interviews with him. And they both said Tyson will do better against taller heavyweights. You know, for him, as such a tall man, it's difficult to constantly punch down on opponents, and he will actually do better, and it will actually bring out the best in him when he fights taller guys. If I'm honest, I'd have rather seen him have experience against these kind of guys. I mean, I know I think he fought Nascimento early on in his career. He's a big guy, but let's be honest, the guys he's beaten who are top 30, top 40 heavyweights, Kevin Johnson, Steve Cunningham, Derek Chisora, Christian Hamer. You know, these are all sort of guys. And yeah, for me, it is a slight concern. You could make a comment the other way with Wladimir Klitschko. What experience does Wladimir Klitschko have of fighting a guy with Tyson Fury's height? Tyson Fury's size. You know, it could work both ways there. Bear with me for just 2 seconds. Business critical refueling that needs to take place. So yeah, I've got one of these big old bottles of San Miguel tonight. Again, I'm on the lager. This is poor, but yeah. So I'm looking at the comments coming through. Sam says, Megan Stivern has an amazing chin. Yeah, good start, Sam. Ruben says, Fury said he doesn't need tall sparring because he has massive balls in the heart. Yeah, well, that's the sort of stuff I don't typically buy into. Ruben says, I would have to argue that I'm his biggest fan. My mouse mat for my computer is a picture of Tyson Fury punching Derek Chisora. Yeah, well, we're on the same page there, Ruben. I'm hugely behind Tyson Fury. Sam says, any good heavyweight up-and-comers in your eyes? Dominic Brazil, Charles Martin, Andy Ruiz, Gerald Washington. What are your thoughts on these guys? That's an interesting one. Charles Martin, very good. Southpaw with excellent punch selection. Really rate Charles Martin. He's got game. The guy can move. He's got power. He's got an excellent jab. Throws real nice shots. Really like Charles Martin. Brazil, Jared Washington. Nothing I've seen from these guys impresses me whatsoever. Don't think they go far. Yeah, I think that flawed fighters, unrefined. Andy Ruiz, don't rate him whatsoever. Yeah, I know he's sort of got very fast hands, seems to have a little bit of power. He looked terrible in that Sergey Lykovich fight. And to be honest, he's Chris Arreola Mark II. Nobody with that much ill discipline is going to make a splash in the division, given his strength and depth. Now, if you want a few heavyweights to follow, let me give you a few. The first one, Joseph Parker, Kiwi heavyweight. This guy is exceptional. Slight concerns that he's defensively irresponsible. Slight concerns he doesn't move enough and doesn't stick to his boxing enough. This guy is a serious talent. Huge punching power, very exciting, very explosive fighter, only 23 years old. I'd certainly recommend checking out Joseph Parker. Let me give you a few more. Huey Fury, obvious one, looks to be an excellent prospect. Very much cut from the same cloth as Tyson Fury, disciplined fighter, technician, not the biggest puncher in the world, but a real skilled contender. Charles Martin is certainly a name I'd throw in. And we throw in a curveball, Luis Ortiz, who is making his return next month. He's someone I rated extremely highly and was in line to fight Ruslan Chagayev for the WBA regular belt before he got banned for steroids. Now, Luis Ortiz is back, Cuban fighter. I think he's 37, 38 years old, so you don't have time to wait with him. Very interesting to see his progress. Obviously, there's a question as to whether he's the same fighter. Now, he's not on performance-enhancing drugs, one would assume. But Luis Ortiz, real exciting guy to check out and to follow. Of the other crop of up-and-comers, Lucas Brown, I'm kind of a bit on the fence over. Yeah, if you've got any other heavyweights, I'm an absolute geek on heavyweight boxing. So if there's any other heavyweights that you want me to give you my thoughts on, leave it in the comments section and I'll tell you whether I like them. But good question, like the question, Sam. Andy Ruiz, Jared Washington, Dominic Brazil, I'm not sort of hot on any of those guys. Charles Martin, Joseph Parker, Luis Ortiz, Huey Fury, I'm seeing those guys as having their potential to go through and sort of step it up to the next level, certainly. Ruben says all of them get smashed by Fury. Yeah, I mean, as I say, to me, Tyson Fury is probably the #1 heavyweight out there at present. I do think Charles Martin beat Deontay Wilder right now. I rate Martin quite highly. Richie says, I think Fury can win this on points. Oh shit. So I've just managed to spill my beer over myself. Give me 2 seconds. Bit of comedy gold for the viewers there. Apologies for that. Literally, I get so overexcited with my heavyweights and with my Tyson Fury. I managed to spill, you know, a good quarter of a pint of beer on my jeans. So that was very, very smooth. Where are we? Richie says, I think Fury can win on points. Yes, I agree. It doesn't seem to be a popular verdict. Nick says, what do you make of George Arias? Seems like definitely one to watch. Do you know what? I've set myself up for failure, haven't I? I've just said that I'm a geek of heavyweight boxing. I know everyone. Gonna be honest, I don't know this guy, so I have to check him out. Has he had any fights, Nick? Has he, has he fought anyone of note? I'll have to look them up. Jack says he's back. I won't say what he said. You can check it out. Tivatap says, I think Fury looked a bit cell-socked at the size of Usmanov at the weigh-in. What do you think? Nah, I don't see that at all. Usmanov, people who think Fury is stuff in Usmanov, I mean, all of those people who say that, and I'm not saying Tivatap, you're saying that, but yeah. Anyone who thinks Fury's duckling should just check out Usmanov. Yeah, he's a solid fighter, but he is nothing exceptional whatsoever. Nothing exceptional whatsoever. He's a slow, one-paced plodder. And had that fight gone ahead, Tyson Fury would have absolutely schooled him. Ross Fleming says, have you ever boxed? The answer to that is yes, but at an exceptionally low level. And I wouldn't say that I had any caliber or skill whatsoever. It's just something that I've always been keen on. Ruben says, George Arias is really interesting. Ruben, tell me more. Tell me more. Very rare that I'll come across. It's very rare that I've come across a heavyweight that I'm not aware of, because I'm usually a bit of a geek on these sort of things. So tell me more. What do you like about him? Who have you seen him fight? Megan says, just saw an interview of Stavern saying he wants a rematch with Wilder. If that were to happen, how would you see that going? Well, the thing is, Megan, I made a bit of a tit of myself here, because I picked Stavern and I bet on Stavern for that fight. I was super confident Stavern beat Wilder. Super confident. And I got that badly wrong, not even close. Now, Stavern was terrible beyond belief in that fight. He was terrible beyond belief. But, you know, for me, having sat through 12 rounds of that fight, I don't see Stavern necessarily turning the tables. I thought Wilder was dominant. And the other thing is, Stavern has had one opponent in his entire career, really, hasn't he? Which is Chris Arreola. And I guess at the time, Stavern fought Arreola. That looked like a decent win. But let's not forget, Arreola was having some success outboxing Stavern and winning rounds in both of those fights. And, Arreola's looked terrible since, like, god-awful since, hasn't he? I mean, Arreola has, been in life or death battles with guys with terrible records. So maybe Stavern's wins over Chris Arreola are pretty meaningless in the context of the heavyweight division. He was very flattered to be in that position. So I wouldn't pick the main Stavern. Jack says, didn't think you'd read it. Love your personality. That's very charitable. I've got to bear in mind. See, I've got Google Analytics, and I can see the makeup of the people who are watching my video. And as much as this may surprise people out there, I have 7% female viewership. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but I've got 100,000 views on the channel now. It's got 105,000 views, which is pretty amazing. I stumbled across that the other day and couldn't believe it. So it is safe to assume that, based on that, about 7,500 women in one form or another. You know, it might have been the same woman 7,500 times, but there's some female hits. So I got to mind the P's and Q's, Jacks, to keep up the female support. Ruben is talking about George Arias. He says he's very like Mike Tyson. He's a bit like Mike Tyson in the way he fights. So check him out. Definitely will do. Definitely will do. Sam says, if Fury had a better chin, I do think it's a problem. I think he'd box Joshua's head off. I don't care what Barry Hearn says. And Ruben says Fury's chin is so underrated. Sam, I'm not just trying to disagree with you here, my friend, but I disagree with you massively here, and I completely agree with Ruben. Completely agree with Ruben. Tyson Fury has got a good chin. For me, the sign of a good chin is when someone is hit and hurt, but isn't knocked out, gets up and fights on. Tyson Fury's been knocked down heavily twice, and both times he's got up, he's fought on, and both times he's done the business. He's done the business. You know, for me, having a bad chin is someone who, when he gets hit like that, can't get up and is badly wobbled. Yeah, that's not a worry for me with Tyson Fury. It's like Charles and Hassan and Diamond Jickham, you know. The way he constantly got up against Peter Quillen gave me hope that he'd see out the fight with David Lemieux the other day. Now, with Anthony Joshua, can the same be said for him? You know, we've seen him properly hurt against Dillian White in the amateurs. We've heard stories about what happened when he sparred David Price, you know. The truth is, if Fury gets dropped in a fight, you know in all likelihood he'll be back up and fight on. Can the same be said for Anthony Joshua? That's a real doubt in my mind. Nick has sent me a link to Arias' latest fight and said he's reminiscent of Fraser. Very interesting, I'll check him out. You know, the heavyweight division really lacks that kind of fighter now, the Joe Fraser type, the David Tua type. And for a long time, I've been holding on to Derek Chisora. Not because I rate Chisora, but because he genuinely offers something different in the context of the heavyweight division. That sort of down low, bobbing and weaving, hooking, overhanding style. You know, for me, that's it'd be good to have another fighter like that. Jack says, very respectful, Emilian says, considering how fast Fury is on his feet, it's going to be hard to hit that chin, which is a good thing. Yeah, I mean, seriously, factor that in. He's standing southpaw. He's miles away because of his reach. He's defensively responsible when he's at his best. He's a guy, I mean, you notice when Tyson Fury, when Christian Hamer, Chisora, pushed him back and got him into the ropes, one thing I like about Fury is the hands were up like this, you know, and he would lean, he'd bend at the waist, as the wire says. You know, he'd bend, he'd lean, he'd swerve away. You know, this is a guy who, you know, he really has got a good defence. He really has. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. Right, we're an hour in. We've discussed the Fury photo. We've discussed this fight. You know, I'll wrap it up in in a few minutes. Do another 5 minutes. Any questions? Any more heavyweights? Anything on anything? Comment, and I'll try and cover them off before I show it off. The one thing I would say is, whilst I am picking Tyson Fury in this fight, and controversially picking him by points, what I would say is you don't rule Wladamir Klitschko out. I mean, he is an elite professional who's been on the top of his game for a very, very, very long time. And I'm not saying with any confidence that Fury beats Vlad. I'm simply saying that, gun to my head, I pick Fury. But Vlad is very live in this fight. And even though I think Fury's got a good chin, you know, he's never fought anyone with as much skill, as much technical ability, as much amateur pedigree, as much power as Vlad. Vlad is not to be discounted in that fight. Ross says, a lot of people disagree. I rate Wilder as one of the worst heavyweights I've ever seen. No technique. Windmill Wilder will get exposed when he faces someone decent. If the Povetkin can get inside his jab, and I believe he will, he'll get knocked the fuck out. Can't stand people saying he's the next big thing. Look at the difference in discipline and technique between him and AJ. Two latecomers. Yeah, I mean, Deontay Wilder. And I did a video on this the other day. I'm just trying to think what it was called. I think it was, yeah, it was called. Check this out. Check this video out on my channel, Ross. I posted it 3 or 4 days ago, so it'll be near the top on my videos. And I think it is titled, How Bad is Deontay Wilder? And it was my post-fight thoughts after he fought Eric Molina. And, you know, what I'm saying here is the errors he is making are so basic that none of us would make them. I'm that serious. If you keep getting clocked with an overhand, you keep your hand here, you know, surely, you know, when you hurt an opponent, don't go like, you know, throwing your hands like a windmill. You know, these are basic errors. His stance is so wide, he gives up his height. Yeah, it is terrible, the errors he is making. Yeah, it really shows a lack of, you know, why is he not being taught this in training? Or, you know, it also, you know, basic adjustment. If you keep getting hit, adjust. It's basic. If I got hit 5 times in the same place, I'll keep my hand there. You know, it's so obvious. To be fair to Wilder, he has improved. If you look at his performance in the Bermane-Stavern fight compared to his performance in some of his earlier matchups, he has improved markedly. But, you know, he's so long away from being a finished product. And I think that Alexander Povetkin could knock him out in the first round if those two meet. I'd be inclined to pick Povetkin in the first 3. I just think that Wilder won't be able to live with what Povetkin can offer. Amigan says, you mentioned Wilder's stance being too wide. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's crazy. You've got a guy, he's actually giving up his height. It's so wide. And the other difficulty when your stance is that wide is you can't make swift adjustments. You can't move well. Because if your feet are slightly close together, you can kind of dance a bit. Whereas when they're that wide, you have to kind of move one back to move the other one. It's just basic stuff. Hypnotic Wonder, lol, you think Fury has a good chin? Yeah, I mean, I won't go over it again, we've covered it, but I think he's got an excellent chin, For me, a good chin, Hypnotic Wonder, is when you go down and you get up and you can show that even when you get hit, you don't get stopped. You know that Fury can get hit, he can get dropped, but he can recover and win fights. Can the same be said of Anthony Joshua, for example? We don't know. But with Fury, we know. You know, for me, he's proven his chin in the sense that he's been hit badly in fights and he's not been knocked out and he's fought on. Ruben agrees with me. He goes, anyone can be dropped, not everyone can get up. Sam says, is Adrian Broner the biggest hype job of all time? Do you know what, Sam? I'm not trying to get at you, honestly, but I'm disagreeing with every single comment you're making tonight. I think Adrian Broner is a superb fighter. I think he is excellent. I think some of the attributes he has and some of the things he does in the ring are elite. I think he's seriously advanced. I don't think he's pound for pound in terms of ability, because I don't think he's got the movement. But what I would say is he's not a 147-pound fighter. He just isn't. And that's the thing. People put Gennady Golovkin in their pound-for-pound list. But the truth is that if Adrian Broner fighting at 147 is equivalent to Golovkin fighting at 168 or maybe even 175, you know, he's just fighting guys who are too big for him. I bet Adrian Broner could go undefeated for a long time if he was able to get down to 140. I picked Terence Crawford over him, but I picked Broner over Garcia, who I know is now at 147. I picked him over Provodnikov, I picked him over Matisse. I think he's got serious skills and serious capabilities. I don't think You know, I think he's an underrated fighter. He's just not a 147 fighter. Hypnotic Wonder said he's not been hit by anyone decent yet. Well, I don't know. When he fought Derek Chisora was certainly top 10. Steve Cunningham's certainly top 15. You know, I agree with you. He hasn't fought the elite level, but his chin is certainly more proven than a lot of heavyweights out there. Ruben says, anyone who says the Cunningham fight was a sign of a bad chin is just a Fury hater. I agree with you. Hypnotic Wonder says, I don't know any real world champions that have been buckled that easy. Come on, Hypnotic Wonder, that's poor from you. I mean, look at the world champions out there. Andre Ward, pound for pound number 2, got dropped by Darnell Boo. Wladamir Klitschko, heavyweight world champion, been dropped numerous times from his career. Floyd Mayweather, pound for pound number 1. Most people agree that he got dropped by Zab Judah. Manny Pacquiao, pound for pound top 5. He's been dropped numerous times. Guillermo Rigondeaux, he's been dropped numerous times. Sergio Martinez, you know, dropped badly by Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Miguel Cotto, you know, stopped in fights before. Bernard Hopkins, one of the elite defensive fighters of our time, he's been dropped multiple times. Got dropped by Sergey Kovalev, if I remember correctly. Yeah, my point is all of the true world champions, and I've just mentioned some true world champions, have come across difficulties in fights. Yeah, for me, it's not about people who get rocked and people who get hurt. It's about people who get knocked out. Tyson Fury has been dropped due to ill discipline. People forget how young he is. On the way up, when he was learning, he's been dropped. But he's not been hurt, he's not been counted out of the fights, and he's proved great heart and great capability to come back and win the fights. And for me, that's the important thing. Ruben agrees with me. He goes, he's been down twice. He's been hit more than that. He gets up and fights on. Also, when was the last time he got hit like that? He's a new fighter. Spot on, Ruben. Spot on. Hypnotic Wonder. Take note of that. When he gets hit, he gets up and he has made the adjustments, and he's a far more disciplined fighter recently. Liam Nicholson, do you rate Tyson Dong? No, I think he's useless. In fact, if you want to hear more on this, Google boxing gossip Tyson Dong. I've done an extended video analysing this guy. I think he's very poor. He went life or death in his last fight against an absolute journeyman. For me, he's big, but when he steps up in opposition, he doesn't have any technique, he doesn't have any speed, and he doesn't actually have genuine power. I expect him to get destroyed when he fights his first real opponent. If you want to hear more, please do Google it. Hypnotic Wonder says Fury only recovered because he didn't go in the fights with fighters that could do the job. You know, people forget that Fury is only 6 months older than Anthony Joshua. Look at the level that Fury's been in with compared to someone like AJ. You know, Fury's a lot younger than Deontay Wilder. Look at the opposition that Fury had been in with compared to Deontay Wilder. After this many fights, I think. Look, I agree that Fury could have potentially faced a better level of opposition. I am a Fury fan, but I'm not going to just defend him for the sake of it. I do personally believe Fury could have maybe fought better opposition on the way up, but it's not been a terrible opposition level. Jack says, I think AJ is so hungry he'll surprise a lot of people with how big his heart is. Mark my words. AJ might well have a big heart, but having a big heart and a glass jaw, that's the bit that I'm unconvinced on, Jack. And I'm not saying he hasn't necessarily got a glass jaw, but I've heard a lot of rumours that he may do, so we shall see. Hypnotic Wonder says he's not hating on Tyson Fury. We are talking world champions here. He's been hit by a very average fighter and he's been buckled. Who's he fought? Please tell me. He fought Derek Chisora twice. At the time he fought Derek Chisora, both times you'd have to consider Chisora a top 10 heavyweight. He fought Steve Cunningham, who in my mind is still a top 15 heavyweight, maybe a top 10 heavyweight. He's fought Christian Hamer, who's probably top 30. He's fought Kevin Johnson, who's probably top 50. He's fought a few other fringe contenders. I'm not saying that he's got the best record of opponents, I'm not, but he's not been in with terrible opponents. Pivot Tap says AJ versus White will be a telling fight. Should it happen? Yeah, look forward to that one. Jack disagrees. He says White ain't bad by any means, but I think AJ is a level above White. I'd have to agree with Jack based on what I've seen so far. AJ does look to be a level above White in the pros, but there's that history there. There's the fact that White knocked out AJ as an amateur. And the truth is, Jack, we've never seen AJ hit back. We've never seen AJ hit by anyone with power. And White certainly brings that dynamic to the table. So it'll be a true test of Anthony Joshua in my eyes. Hypnotic Wonder says, against I don't. No, Hypnotic Wonder, you said true world champions don't go down like Fury did, right? I'm not comparing Fury to them, saying he's like those guys. You said that true world champions don't go down like that. Well, I'm saying they do. Wladamir Klitschko, Floyd Mayweather, Miguel Cotto, Sergio Martinez, Manny Pacquiao, Bernard Hopkins, Andre Ward. Yeah, what about Andre Ward versus Darnell Boone? Is that not worse than Fury going down against Steve Cunningham? Steve Cunningham's a top 15 heavyweight. Darnell Boone is not a top 15 super middleweight. Come on, agree with me there, please. Ruben says Muhammad Ali was dropped in fights and yet he beat George Foreman. Excellent point. Muhammad Ali was dropped by Henry Cooper. I'd say that Steve Cunningham is a similar level fighter to Henry Cooper. Hypnotic says Fury's 20 stone, but he's getting dropped by 14 stone fighters. Megan says I've seen the Tyson fights, as in Tyson Dom, and I have to admit he's slow. He looks powerful, but I can't tell whether he's punching or pushing. This guy has no power. He's got no technique. He's just got size. I had an argument on my video with some guy who told me he must be the hardest puncher in the sport because he's the biggest guy in the sport. If you watch his recent fight, Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter, admitted afterwards he was very lucky not to get knocked out. Hypnotic Wonder says Steve Cunningham, lol. Sorry, Steve Cunningham, lol. Yeah, Steve Cunningham is not a bad fighter. He's not. Look, I'm not going to big up Fury because I'm a fan of his. Steve Cunningham is not an elite heavyweight. He's not. He's a level below. Well, he's some way below the top of the sport at heavyweight, but he is a very solid fighter. Jack says I agree. He hasn't been hit by power completely. Time will tell. Time will tell. Time will tell. And all the best to AJ, but. Yeah, Dillian White from WAC. Marius Walk is a good in-between fight, actually, Jack. That will give us some info on the way. Sam says Broner would beat Matisse. Gossip, you let yourself down on that one. Thing is, look at who's beaten Matisse, right? And I don't have BoxRec in front of me, but is Matisse that hard to outbox? Broner, look at Broner, right? He has been in with hard punches at 147, Maidana and Porter. But he went 24 rounds with those guys. Sean Porter never dropped him. Never dropped him. He showed great heart to go to the end. And the thing about Broner is he's got, at 140, he could be a different fighter. I mean, Matisse got beaten by Danny Garcia on points. He got beaten by Devin Alexander on points. Surely Broner can replicate the success of those guys. Broner is a superb technician. And Matisse, I know he's got this boxer puncher thing, but at heart, the guy's a slugger. Yeah, Broner could outskill him, trust me. Hypnotic Wonder, are you saying Fury's world class? Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. I mean, what does world class mean? If you're one of the top 4 or 5 heavyweights in the world, of course you're world class. Like, I personally rate Tyson Fury at the top of the heavyweight division, but who could you rank above Fury right now? You could credibly rank Vlad above him. You could credibly rank Povetkin over him. You could credibly rank Wilder over him. You could make an argument that Pulev should be rated higher than him. You could maybe put a tenuous argument together. You could rate Brian Jennings over him. Maybe. But Fury is world class. He's in the conversation with those guys, and he's at that sort of level, certainly. Ruben agrees with me. Jack says, what will tell us what AJ is all about? Morden White will, honestly. Gonna see stamina and chin in that Watt fight. Yeah, it's a really good fight. I like that one. Amigan says, if I remember, Matisse lost rounds because his right eye was slammed up for the second half of the fight and he couldn't see the hooks coming. The thing is, I'm not criticising Matisse, but Matisse is not some world beater all of a sudden. Like, yeah, lost to Garcia, lost to Devin Alexander, somewhat laboured victory in my eyes against Ruslan Provodnikov. I'm not saying Matisse is an easy fight for anyone, but I would pick Broner over him. Broner has got real skill. He's just not a 147-pound fighter. Broner is undefeated at 140 pounds or less. And the 2 guys he's lost to are very, very, very big welterweights. I know Sean Porter got down to 144, but they are very big welterweights, the 2 guys he's lost to. He's just not a 147-pound fighter. Broner still has the capability to be a world-class fighter if he can get his weight right. Hypnotic Wonder says, world class. Holyfield fought 7 top 10 fighters before winning the heavyweight world championship. Just because there are no good heavyweights out there don't make them world class. Well, if somebody is in the top 5 or 6 heavyweights in the world, then clearly they're world class. To be honest, I want to talk boxing. I don't want to have a theoretical discussion as to what world class means. But Hypnotic Wonder, would you not rate Tyson Fury in the top 5 or 6 heavyweights based on what he's done so far? If you're rating a fighter as a top 5 fighter in their division, then they are world class. They might not be greatest of all time. They may not be in the Hall of Famer. I'm not saying that, but if someone is top 5 in the world, they are clearly world class. Clearly, I mean, that is obvious. Come on. Ruben is asking if Hypnotic is trolling. Maybe he is, I don't know. I'm not sorry. I'm enjoying the banter anyway. Right, I'll hang around for another 2-3 minutes and then I'm going to call it a day. So, any last minutes, requests, or comments, get them involved now. Hypnotic Wonder says, Lewis, Holyfield, Tyson, Ali, that's world class. No, Hypnotic, you do not understand. They are not world class. They are top 10 of all time. They are greatest of all time level. World class is today. It is in the context of now. A fighter like Deontay Wilder is currently operating at world class level. He is a million miles below Tyson and Lennox Lewis. Come on. You can see that, surely. Andy Murray is a world-class tennis player. That doesn't mean he's the greatest tennis player of all time. This is obvious. Come on. Ruben agrees with me. Ruben is like, me and Ruben are on point tonight. He's saying those guys aren't world-class anymore. World-class means the best right now. The guys you've mentioned are Hall of Famers. And Amigan says, I guess this is the problem with there being so many titles and with one person holding them all, and Wilder borrowing the WBC belt for the time being. How do you define world class? Titles or ranking? It has to be ranking, and it has to be ranking in our heads, not in, you know, the WBC's heads. Put simply, having a title doesn't make you world class. I'm trying to think of some examples of truly terrible title holders, but you know, like, I'm trying to think of an example without being a terrible example. Scott Quigg is some way off being world class. I got one for you. Fedor Chudinov at 168 pounds. In my opinion, he isn't a top 10 super middleweight. He isn't. He beat a blown up Felix Stern, who's never got any record at 168. For me, he isn't a world class fighter, not at all. But he's a world title holder. So for me, it's about ranking. Ruben says, in my opinion, Fury is the greatest heavyweight of all time. He will be our main. That's a tough one, Ruben. I'm disagreeing with you there for the first time. And the reason I'd say that is, let me explain this. Being the greatest heavyweight of all time is so much more than capability. It's about resume. It's about consistent performances. Fury, as much as I said he's the most complete heavyweight in the game today, isn't fully complete. There is the odd defensive frailty. The power isn't truly there. The discipline doesn't appear to be consistently there. Fury's very, very good, but I'm not seeing something at this point to tell me that he's that good. I hope I'm wrong. I'm a huge fan. Maybe you're right, Ruben. Maybe you are a bigger fan than I am. But no, I have to disagree with you there. Hypnotic Wonder says Chudinov is a punch bag. Hypnotic Wonder, we agree on something. Thank you very much. I do think he'll beat Bullioli there. Jack says, yeah, Fury might be the best of all time in 10 years, but right now he isn't there. And Ruben saying that's what he meant. Hypnotic Wonder says he's got no chin, he's unfit, he's too slow, and he's too stupid. I think this is a good note to wrap it up. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the live show. To be honest, I've enjoyed doing it, regardless of whether you've enjoyed listening to it or not. If you're watching this, please do give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Hypnotic Wonder, probably going to give me the thumbs down. So yeah, give me the thumbs up if you can. If you're watching this, you almost certainly subscribe to the channel. But if you haven't for whatever reason, I'd really appreciate it if you click the subscribe button. It helps me out at this end. And yeah, keep watching, keep watching. I'm enjoying doing these live shows. I've only really discovered this week. I know the laptop is a bit crap and the noise is a bit difficult, so it may be better if I still do the videos on the iPad as well, because it probably creates a better product. But I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy doing the live shows. So if you've got any other suggestions and topics that we could do an hour's live show on, please do drop them over to me. Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm relatively free. I'm on holiday from Thursday onwards. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hypnotic Wonder says he's not a troll and he's enjoyed. Hypnotic, do you know what? I don't have any problem with people who just disagree with me. Yeah, to be honest, boxing would be very boring if we all agreed the same thing. So, look, as long as you're not just trolling for the sake of it, having a bit of back and forth is a good thing. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. Timber Tap says good stuff. Cheers. Better by Far says cheers. Been interesting. Thank you very much, guys. Ruben's very upset with Hypnotic Wonder. Timotav says, good stuff, cheers. And Amigan says, good show. Thanks very much, guys. Really enjoyed it. Have a good evening all, and I will catch you soon. Potentially got a video coming on Joseph Parker and his new opponent tonight. Be sure to check that out. And if you haven't already, please check out the live show from yesterday, which has all the post-fight wrap-ups from the weekend, as well as discussion on Joshua versus Mario Swap. Thank you very much indeed.